Captain Paul for the locker room. Can the Pittsburgh Penguins make it back to the playoffs, and can they be a threat in the Eastern Conference with additions of Erik Karlsson, Reilly Smith? Will that be able to get them over the hump? Now, before we get into this video, I appreciate if you drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. Try to reach 5,000 before the start of the NHL season. And let's get into these Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins are a really good roster, currently $79,000 over the cap. And how things are working, because they have Getzel on the injured reserve, but this is the cap, 79,000 over. That's going to be very easy to work on. And the reason why I reference Getzel is because currently in the depth charts of Cap Friendly, he's not up there. He's right down below here on the injured reserve. And the great thing about him is he can play left wing or right wing. And looking up front, right, let's just go with this. If you went with Crosby, Smith, and Rust, and then on that second line you went with guys like Getzel, Malkin, and Raquel, you're looking at one of the better top sixes in the NHL. Now, maybe Jake plays with the top line with Crosby, and you maybe bump down Rust. There's a lot of different ways you could skin this cat. But when you have good depth, like adding Reilly Smith, who, when he's on, is really, really good. He's got a great shot. I saw that a lot in Boston, saw that a lot in Dallas. Pretty much everywhere he has gone with the Vegas Golden Knights, just played there. When Smith is on his game and he's hitting his shots, he is a very solid contributor. And playing with really good centers, whether that be Crosby or Malkin, that could bring out the best of his game. Crosby, in my opinion, is the greatest player of his generation. Some kind of, not completely, but a little bit forgotten due to the McDavid mania we're seeing, which, you know, for understandable reasons, McDavid's been absolutely out of his mind. But the top six, Smith, Crosby, Rust, Malkin, Raquel, and Getzel, that's a damn good top six. And then if you move Nieto down to the third line, I'm assuming probably would take O'Connor's spot. But let's just kind of go with that. Whether that be Neto, O'Connor, Carter, and Chari. Chari, I'm biased too. I think he can be a very solid bottom six forward. Probably more slotted in to a fourth line role, but he can play that third line role really respectfully. He's a good player, has a lot of hustle, and that's what you want in that bottom six. Now, the question mark for me is Jeff Carter. Jeff Carter didn't look great, a little bit slow last season. Can he bounce back? He has a track record of being an excellent player for a very long time. He's getting paid $3.125 million, so they're expecting him to contribute in some ways. Could he be on the chopping block? Could they move him? I don't know. I don't know who would take his deal, but Jeff Carter right now is a third line center. That's not terrible. And then on the fourth line, Pitlick, Eller, and Hinostroza. That's an okay fourth line. That's okay production, and those are okay players. When I look at the forward group of the Pittsburgh Penguins, I look at above average because you have some high-end talent. Getzel's been a 40-goal scorer. Crosby is Crosby. Malkin is Malkin. Reilly Smith, in the right situation, can be a very prolific player. And Raquel has been very solid in his own right. I just don't know. There are some question marks. Will Jeff Carter be able to bounce back? Does he have the legs anymore? I think for me, I look at this forward core. The top six is really good. Bottom six is kind of average. So I'll kind of say around the above average range for me, just to the law of averages. But a player that could maybe make a little bit of an impact this season is the guy they drafted 14th overall, Brendan Jger. And looking into a lot of his prospect profile, he's not the greatest skater. He's like an average skater. His playmaking, it's not super creative, just very simplistic. But he has a very good shot. People view him as being a potential 30-goal scorer at the NHL level. And he has a motor. And that's what you want. And we're going to go down here. If you want this, these articles will be linked down below in the description. But we'll go into the strengths. Just kind of keep this relatively brief. Good compete level, good shot, good scoring ability, good puck movement, good puck pursuit, and two-way play. As for his weaknesses, and mind you, he's only 18 years old, they don't know what his high-end potential is. Because there'd be games with the Moose Jaw Warriors where he showed some really brilliant flashes. But then there was other games where it was just kind of up and down. So what is he? Is he that higher like when he flashes, is he that guy, or is he more of the guy that when it's really bad, it's bad? So, I mean, not bad, but kind of average. So, high-end potential, we're not sure. Creativity, as I said, playmaking. He's a solid playmaker, but he's not going to wow you with some of his creativity. He's just not. Average skating, reference that. Physicality, I'm not as worried about that. He's 6 foot, 170 pounds. He can grow into, he can add muscle. I think that just comes with age. He's only 18 years old. And then center or winger, they're not too sure. They're not too sure if he's going to be a center or a winger. I think he could be a solid center. In this article, they say he could be a very solid second-line center in the NHL. And then looking into his stats last season with Moose Jaw, in 67 games played, so many ads in these websites, 28 goals, 50 assists for 78 points. Very good player. I think learning from a guy like Sidney Crosby, there should be... that's what you should want from a young center. Could he challenge this season to be maybe a fourth line guy, maybe a third line? I mean, possibly. I think being in the AHL would probably suit him for a bit, learn, develop, get some confidence at the pro game. Guys like Shane Wright for the Seattle Kraken, he was picked, what was it, 4th, and he was sent back to junior. But when he played in the AHL for the Firebirds, I think it actually benefited him playing at the NHL level. And a guy like Jger, I think that'd be a good idea. Get him some minutes, get him some action. But maybe a guy like him, yeah, he's only 18, getting some youth in this lineup that's, let's be honest, on the older side, wouldn't be a bad thing either. And then learning from guys like Crosby and Malkin, that could be beneficial for his development. Now, going into the decor, you got Ryan Graves, Erik Karlsson. Ryan Graves can be a very solid defender. Erik Karlsson, he had 101 points last season. Very good on the offensive end. And some might argue, well, he was on the San Jose Sharks. He was the only offense they had. But then I could kind of counter that being, well, if he's the only guy they really had, why don't they just double the defenseman? Which, I mean, sounds a little bit goofy, admittedly. But if he was the only real lethal option out there, they should have been able to kind of neutralize him. But it was very difficult to neutralize Erik Karlsson. All they need him to be is an average NHL defender with his offensive upside. Do I think he's going to score 100 points again? No, that's just unrealistic. But I could see him being around 60, 70 points and possibly more. When you have guys like Crosby, Malkin, Getzel, I mean, you name it, they're just deep up front. Yeah, I could see Karlsson still being a prolific scorer on the back end. And then going into the second pairing, Peterson, solid enough. Chris Letang. I love Chris Letang. I'm not a Penguins fan. I'm a Bruins fan, but I love Chris Letang. You know, having a lot of those heart condition issues, the strokes, and him coming back and being a warrior. How could you not just root for this guy? Very good, solid offensive production, good in his own end. Yeah, Letang, when everything's clicking, he's their guy. And now you have guys like Karlsson and Letang on the back end. This decor is looking pretty dangerous from the offensive side of things. And then on bottom pairing, Joseph and Rudwedel, solid enough. Not going to blow your doors down, but they're solid enough and be contributors. So to look at this defense, the offensive upside of them is towards the top end of the league. But can Erik Karlsson be a solid defender full 82 games? Like last year was his first really good year in a long time. I think a lot of it was due to health, but can he duplicate that? Can he do that again? And then can Chris Letang, not blaming him, but due to his health issues, can he play a relative full season? We're not sure. So for me, I'm gonna go with above average on the defense, kind of bordering average, just because there are some question marks. But the upside, the potential is there. Now goaltending. Excuse me. Goaltending. Ended up bringing back Tristan Chari. They ended up trading to Smith. And they brought in Nedeljkovic. Tristan Chari, when he is on, is one of the better goalies in the NHL. So don't get that twisted when I'm saying this. He's a very good goaltender when he's playing well. He's had a little bit of health issues. He has a little bit of inconsistent play. Can he be the number one guy and a Stanley Cup contender? Like Anthony Niemi won a cup for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I don't think he's anywhere. I think Jari's better than Niemi. No disrespect, but I'm just being honest. So is it possible? Yes. But with this current iteration of the Penguins, I'm not sure. Tristan Jarry's got to be far more consistent. He's got to show me in these big money moments he can bring forth, and he's got to stay healthy. If he's going to be the number one goalie, he's getting paid like 5.375. He's got to really get it all together. The potential's there. He can be an all-star level goaltender. But I don't know. There's just something always going on with Jarry. I don't think it's a thing of talent. It's just an accumulation of things where it's just maybe mentally sometimes he's not always there. And then some of the health issues. And then with Nedeljkovic, I don't know. This guy was looked at as the future goaltender at one point for the Carolina Hurricanes. Ended up getting dealt to Detroit. And he really hasn't been able to recapture that magic. Nedeljkovic, I think, is a downgrade from DeSmith. DeSmith, some people in Pittsburgh wanted more from DeSmith, but he was a good NHL backup. Was he going to win you a cup? No. But he was a solid NHL backup, and I think that's a downgrade. I think Nedeljkovic is a downgrade. Now, could Nedeljkovic recapture some of that magic, really round into form, be in a better team situation? Maybe he can be better than DeSmith. Maybe. But there's too many question marks for me with Nedeljkovic to kind of buy in completely. So I'm looking at this goalie tandem, mainly due to the backup, where he's going to have to play quite a bit of games. I think it's an average goaltending tandem at best. I think Jarry, when he's on his game, is one of the better ones in the league. But that's the thing. Ever since Marc-Andre Fleury left, yes, Matt Murray had won some cups for the Penguins. Fleury kind of would go up and down, but they haven't had a steadying presence in net. Not to say Jarry or DeSmith or Murray, like they were terrible, but they've had some injury issues, the goalies that have succeeded Fleury, and some performance issues as well. So when I look at the bottom six here, right, up front, you're like, okay, like there's some players that are okay, not terrible. But a guy that might, I think has the potential to push for a third, fourth line spot is Alex Nylander. He had 50 points, 55 games played, 25 goals, 25 assists. He is 25 years old. Could he battle for a bottom six spot in the Penguins? I mean, at one point was looked at as favorable player that could have the potential to be something in the NHL. And I don't want to butcher his name, so Pustonen. You know, he was a young player, 59 points in 72 games play. Maybe he pushes for a bottom six slot. I don't think it'd be a bad thing if the Pittsburgh Penguins kind of infused a little bit of youth into this lineup and got some legs. I feel like that's what this team needs. Some of these guys are older. They're going to need some breaks. Can you rely on Crosby and Malkin playing full 82 games next season? No. And it's not because they're not capable. It's just they're older. So when they get injured, things are going to, affect them a bit more. I think it's unrealistic to expect both of them to play full 82 games. So you need some of this youth infusement into the lineup. So when I look at the Penguins, they're like, okay, so where do I think they're going to land? The Penguins are in a very precarious situation. Because when I look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, I look at a quality team. I look at a very quality team. But the division they're in is not one favorable to them. Now, this is last season's standings, but do I think the Penguins are better than the Carolina Hurricanes? No. Do I think they're better than the New Jersey Devils? No. Now, the Devils have probably the highest degree, have the highest possibility to come back down to earth a bit due to a lot of their lineup being young. I don't see that happening, but I can't rule that out. Some young teams, they'll flash really good for that one season. Then they'll have a rougher next season, and they'll have to kind of learn from it and get back to form. So the Devils do have a chance to fall back down to earth. I will kind of keep that in. But I don't think on paper right now the Penguins are better than the Devils. How about the Rangers? Are they better than the Rangers? I don't think so. I think they have a better goaltender, the Rangers, and Igor Shesterkin. I think overall with their roster on defense, I think defensively they're better. Offensively, there's some question marks, but I think relatively kind of around the same ballpark. I might give the edge to the Penguins a bit because you have Getzel coming, being a two-time 40-goal scorer. So I could give them the edge offensively just due to everything going on with the Rangers, but I think overall the Rangers are a deeper team. What about the Islanders? The Islanders, the goaltender Sorokin, one of the best in the NHL. Yes, like he's better goaltending, but I think the Penguins could be better than the Islanders, just because they score more. Defensively, the Islanders are good, but the Penguins aren't complete slouches either. I think the offensive production from the Penguins are going to be far better than the Islanders. So yeah, I could see the Pittsburgh overtaking the Islanders. So for me, I look at them as a wild card team, maybe a third slot team if the Devils fall back down to earth. And they're also a team, and this is why I don't worry as much when it kind of comes to the regular season. They're a team that gets in the playoffs with their veteran leadership, with some of their younger guys, with the offensive potential. They could scare some teams. They could get hot at the right time and go on a very, very deep run. So do I think the Penguins could challenge for a cup or challenge to come out of the Eastern Conference? Absolutely. They have all the leadership in the world. They have the veteran players. I just wonder if they're young enough or they have enough legs to last a full 82-game slot. And the guys in the minors, whether that be Nylander, Puustinen, or even the young guy they just drafted 14th overall, Jger, will they be able to contribute to kind of help sustain this Penguins roster and kind of pace themselves so they don't blow their load? But those are my thoughts when it kind of comes to the Penguins. I think a very solid team, very good in a lot of departments. They're playing in a very difficult division in the Metro. But I'd like to know your thoughts down below. Where do you think the Penguins will finish? Will they finish in the top three? Will they be a wild card team, or will they miss the playoffs altogether? I'd love to know your thoughts down below. And if you watched this far into the video, I want to say a big thank you. These videos have been getting really good retention rates, good watch links, and it means a lot to me. I love doing this channel, love making these videos. It's a passion of mine. I've loved hockey since the age of 2. I can't speak enough how much it means to me, you guys that are enjoying the content. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.